President Trump threatens to cut off trade with Spain after the refusal to cooperate with the American military. The Supreme Court blocks California's school policy that allowed students to keep gender transitions a secret from their parents. Netflix loses the Warner Brothers Discovery bid to Paramount, and two off-duty ICE officers in Minnesota rescue a 4-year-old boy from drowning in a local pool. We'll get into all that and your quick hits now. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the wrap-up, where we break down the biggest stories of the week that you might have missed but need to know. I'm your host, Selena. First up, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to cut off all trade with Spain after the socialist-led country refused to allow the U.S. military to use its bases to strike the Islamist regime of Iran. Speaking from the Oval Office on Tuesday during a meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, President Trump vented his frustration with some European allies, including the United Kingdom and Spain. Trump told the press that he had directed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to halt trade with Spain. On Saturday, Spain publicly criticized the United States and Israel for taking military action against Iran, with Sanchez saying that it represented, quote, an escalation and contributes to more uncertain and hostile international order. In addition to criticizing the strikes, Madrid also refused to grant the United States access to its military bases, reportedly forcing American Air Force assets to leave the country and relocate to other bases in Europe over the weekend. While the UK has since walked back from a similar stance, Spain has held firm. The stance against strikes on Iran has won the socialist government some praise from the left, including from billionaire globalist George Soros' son, Alex Soros, who said on Monday that, quote, Spain is becoming the leader of the free world. But President Trump responded to Spain's refusal, saying, quote, they have great people, but they don't have great leadership. The president's frustration with Spain began last year when the government of socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez became the only EU ally to reject increasing NATO defense spending. They refused to raise the spending to 5% of GDP, up from the previous 2%, a benchmark that Spain also routinely fails to meet. German Chancellor Merz echoed Trump's sentiments during their meeting, stating that he and other European leaders are trying to convince Spain to catch up to the 5% NATO target, adding that Spain is the only country that hasn't been willing to accept that. In our next story, the Supreme Court blocked California's policies in schools that allow teachers to keep students' gender transitions secret from their parents. In a 6-3 decision on Monday, the justices said that California policies that block schools from notifying parents about their child's desire to change their sex and be referred to by incorrect pronouns likely violate their religious liberty. The Supreme Court's unsigned opinion stated that California's policies, quote, substantially interfere with the right of parents to guide the religious development of their children. While the state claimed that the policies are in place for students' safety and privacy, the court ruled those policies cut out the primary protectors of children's best interest, their parents. California's 2024 ban on school staff informing parents about a child's gender transition was initially stayed by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, despite a district court ruling for parental notification. The Supreme Court has now vacated the appeals court's ruling. Next up, Paramount Skydance beat out Netflix in the bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery with a $110 billion offer. According to the post-millennial Bruce Campbell, Warner Brothers Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer, said in the company's town hall, quote, Netflix had the legal right to match the PSKY offer. As you all know, they ultimately decided not to do that. The deal includes some $29 billion in debt in addition to the payments, and it will be one of the largest media shakeups in Hollywood. Paramount will now own the rights to the intellectual property formerly owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, including franchises like Harry Potter, Looney Tunes, Lord of the Rings, and the DC Comics universe. After losing the bidding war on Thursday, Netflix CEO Greg Peters said, quote, we've always been disciplined, and at the price required to match Paramount Skydance's latest offer, the deal is no longer financially attractive. Netflix could potentially make another attempt if the deal fails to pass federal regulatory scrutiny, as the approval process can take between 6 months and a year. Up next, two heroic off-duty immigration and customs enforcement officers patrolling in Minnesota saved the life of a 4-year-old boy who drowned after falling into a hotel pool. The young boy's panicked mother approached the off-duty officers last Friday as they were eating in a restaurant in the Minneapolis suburb of Plymouth, hoping they could save her unresponsive son. The officers jumped to the rescue. The child had been underwater for over 5 minutes after jumping into the pool to find a toy. The agents performed CPR on the child for several minutes before paramedics arrived, and he eventually regained consciousness. According to the Daily Wire, the Plymouth Police Department sent a letter to ICE in recognition of their heroic actions, saying the federal officers responded, quote, without hesitation. The department spoke with one of the officers and said they responded with humility, trying to downplay their life-saving response. Deputy Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss told the Daily Wire, quote, because of their training, these two agents were able to save a life. Our agents are the best of the best. And now it's time for quick hits. Luigi the Musical, a tasteless, dark comedy that glorifies the alleged murderer by portraying killer Luigi Mangione as a folk hero sharing a cell with notorious figures like Diddy and Sam Bankman-Fried, is slated to open in New York City this summer, disrespectfully just miles from the scene where the United Healthcare CEO was gunned down. Smoothie King has fired 2 Michigan employees who refused to serve a customer in a Trump hoodie and apologized profusely to the couple. They have now mandated retraining for all staff and reaffirmed its strict no discrimination policy. Tampa International Airport declared war on airport pajamas with a viral post stating, "We've had enough. Time to ban them at TPA. The madness stops today." The world's first Crocs-free and pajama-free airport. But sadly, the airport later confirmed it was a joke. McDonald's CEO Chris Zipczynski fumbled his way through a taste test of a massive new Big Arch burger, awkwardly calling it a product, taking a tiny nibble and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, which resulted in the internet roasting him for seeming allergic to his own food. The NBA's Atlanta Hawks are hosting Magic City Monday, an event complete with wings, exclusive merch, and of course, a celebration of the legendary Atlanta Gentlemen's Club, Magic City. Because nothing says NBA family entertainment like honoring a world-famous strip club. The Texas Rangers baseball team is installing the iconic 12-foot One Riot, One Ranger bronze statue, which was yanked from Dallas Love Field amid George Floyd backlash. Originally in the terminal area at the airport, the statue will now stand in the left field at the Rangers Stadium. That's a wrap for this week. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what you thought about these stories, and we'll see you back here next week on The Wrap Up. Thank you so much for watching this video. In order to keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation today.